What's going on, everybody? Welcome into episode 105 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast on this Tuesday, September 2nd, 2025. I'm your host, Zach Malum. But before we get started, please subscribe below. Follow all of my social accounts. Let's start things off in the world of baseball as both New York teams were in action this weekend. And we'll start things with the New York Mets as they were at home, a 4-game set against the Miami Marlins, coming off of a series sweep of the Philadelphia Phillies. Mets sit 4 games back at that point of Philadelphia in the National League East. Is the East back on? I was one of those people that said, hold your horses, because all season long, the Mets have gone up against some bad teams and really found ways to lose in those games. Games that they easily should win. They have done it again, and you cannot be losing to teams like the Washington Nationals and the Miami Marlins. The Marlins end up taking 3 of 4 from the Mets at Citi Field, and it really came down to how bad this Mets pitching staff has looked recently. And when you look at Game 1, Clay Holmes is on the mound for the Mets, and he struggled in this one. Then you look at Friday, and it came down to Jonah Tong looked pretty good throughout, but also this Mets offense has been carrying the load all throughout the month of August. They have put up record after record in this month, and they end up taking the win on Friday night, 19-9. They really got to Yuri Perez early in this one. He only goes 2/3 of an inning in that first inning, and all of a sudden, blink of an eye, first 2 innings are done. It's 12-0 Mets. That's the most runs that they've put up in the first couple of innings in franchise history. Just insane stuff, and a franchise record they set at home at Citi Field. 19 runs. They win it 19-9, and Jonah Tong looked pretty good in his major league debut. Ends up going 5 innings in this one, 6 hits allowed, 4 runs with 1 earned, no walks, and 6 Ks, and the Mets end up winning it 19-9 on Saturday. So the offense is rolling. Then you go into Friday, then you go into Saturday's game where the Mets take on the Marlins again, but it's David Peterson on the mound this time, and what a horrible time for David Peterson to have his worst performance of his career. He only goes 2 innings in this one with 8 hits allowed, a career high 8 earned runs allowed, 3 walks, 1 K, 65 pitches, and just the 2 innings really did not help this Mets team. You got to give credit to the Mets offense once again. They came back in this one, all the way back. They were down so much in this game, and they tie the game at 8 with Juan Soto's 2-run bomb in the 6th inning. That was after Soto, the at-bat before, ends up hitting a solo shot to right center, really not far off from where the second ball landed. And the Mets tied the game at 8, but it came down to the pitching once again down the stretch. Tyler Rogers ends up getting the loss in this one after he allowed the 1 earned run in the 7th, with Connor Norby ending up hitting the sac fly to give the Marlins a 9-8 lead. Diaz comes in the 9th, and it was one of the only blips of Edwin Diaz's season so far. Connor Norby ends up hitting a 2-run double to center field, gave the Marlins an 11-8 lead, and they end up winning the game 11-8, the Marlins do. And then you go into Sunday's finale, the Sunday matinee between these two teams, and the Mets, who have not lost a series against the Marlins at Citi Field since 2021. I mean, just a horrible series overall, capped off by a bad performance once again by a starting pitcher. Kodai Senga gets credited with the loss in this one, 7-6 on the year. He falls to. He only went 4 2/3 in this one with 7 hits allowed, 5 earned runs with 2 walks and 6 Ks. Just 5 earned runs is not good enough for your starting pitcher. And then you look at the offensive side of things, a team that looked really good in all of August on the offensive side of things. They just fell asleep in the final game of this series. They only have 5 hits up on the board, and they lose it 5-1 to Miami. So it really just comes down to, like I said, this Mets pitching staff has been horrendous in the month of August. They have to find ways to allow this starting pitching to go deep into games. I mean, we've been saying that for months and months already. But you look at the ERAs of this Mets pitching staff in the month of August, it is all over the place, minus Nolan McLean, who's got a .89 ERA in his first 3 major league starts. But that's not a guy that you can rely on down the stretch in the playoffs to be your go-to guy. I mean, he needs help behind him. This guy has looked really good in his first 3 major league starts, but that can change also within the blink of an eye. This is a young, inexperienced MLB pitcher who, yes, you can rely on for only so much, but he can't be the end-all be-all for this Mets rotation. They have to find more guys to really step up, and it really comes down to those 4 guys in the rotation next to him. Let's take Jonah Tong out for a second. Those 4 guys, David Peterson, Kodai Senga, Sean Manaea, Clay Holmes. One of those guys, 2 of those guys have to be better in the month of September. This is the time that the Mets really prove if they're going to be a deep run playoff team. Can they get deep into the playoffs? Can they beat a top team in the National League? This is the time to prove it. Their starting rotation has been abysmal recently, minus Nolan McLean, like I said. So they have to rely on one of those 4 guys, 2 of those 4 guys to really turn things around. If they can find that, the Mets will be in good shape. But for now, it looks really, really daunting going up against one of those wild card teams in the National League. So the Mets need to figure things out for now, and they end up going into a series against the Detroit Tigers that started yesterday, a Monday Labor Day opening game of this 3-game set in Detroit, and the Mets end up winning the game 10-8. It really came down to, the Mets pitching struggled again, but the Mets offense was able to carry them this time as well. So they end up getting the win 10-8, but it really came down to Juan Soto and his contributions on the offensive side of things. He ends up hitting his first grand slam as a Met, his second career grand slam. He hit it off of Charlie Morton, who he's basically owned for his entire major league career. He also hits a 2-run triple in the 6th after the Tigers came back to tie it at 6. The Mets take a 2-run lead once again, 8-6 in the 6th inning. They held on from there. It was 10-6, and the Tigers chipped away, grabbed 2 runs in the 7th and the 8th, but the Mets really locked things down. Give credit to Edwin Diaz after a bit of a shaky performance last time out against Miami. He looked really, really solid on Labor Day. Gets his 25th save of the year. He goes an inning and a third with no hits allowed, no runs, with no walks and 2 strikeouts. Really good stuff by Diaz, and the Mets and their offense carry them to a win in Detroit. So it really comes down to, again, this Mets offense has looked tremendous. And the month of August, the Mets really struggled with all of the offense that they put up on the board. They were still only 11-17 in the month of August, and that's not good enough. Their offense has looked really good recently. They got to keep that going. They need some help from their starting rotation and really the pitching staff overall. But 11-17 after the month of August that they had, records broken, and they still finished the month under 500, but this time it's time to turn it around as they end up winning 10-8 in game 1 of this 3-game set. But they continue this series against Detroit, a tough one tonight. Nolan McLean makes his 4th career major league start. We'll see if he can really back up those first 3. He's going up against Sawyer Gibson-Long, who's going to start for the Detroit Tigers in this one. Gibson-Long is 0-1 this year with a 4.32 ERA. McLean lights out so far this season, 3-0 in 3 starts with a .89 ERA. So Nolan McLean on the mound against the Detroit Tigers. This one at Comerica Park. It starts at 6:40 p.m. tonight. Make sure you tune in all series long as the Mets continue to fight away in that National League wild card picture. Let's shift things to the other side of New York as the New York Yankees were also in action this weekend. They were in the south side of Chicago taking on the Chicago White Sox, a 4-game set coming off of a series sweep against the Washington Nationals earlier in the week at Yankee Stadium, where the Yankees swept that one 3-0, coming off of that series against the Boston Red Sox. And ever since then, this Yankee offense has continued to roll. Their starting pitching has looked really good. Their pitching overall has looked really strong. And they end up getting another couple of wins against Chicago. At one point, they were on a 7-game win streak since that game against the Red Sox on August 23rd, where it was just disaster. Looked like the season was over. The Yankees end up responding to that, and they end up getting a couple wins against Chicago. Their starting pitchers were really good on Thursday and Friday. Will Warren gets his 8th win of the year. Carlos Rodon ends up getting his 15th win of the year. 10-4 Yankees on Thursday, 10-2 Yankees on Friday. It goes into Saturday, where I think this probably was the biggest game of the series for this Yankees team. They end up winning it in the end, 5-3 in 11, but their pitching looked really good down the stretch in this one, where with David Bednar coming into the game late in this one, he goes 2 innings, just 1 hit allowed, no runs with no walks and 1 K. Really good stuff by Bednar, and he locks things down after it was a very close game, a tie game in the 7th inning after Medroth hit an RBI single. Yankees got a couple of solo shots from Judge and Wells earlier in the game, but it really came down to Bednar locked things down in the 10th inning as well after the 9th, and the Yankees get out of a jam, and the offense responded in the 11th inning. Cody Bellinger started it with an RBI single to left with Grisham scoring. Then you had Jazz Chisholm Jr. hits an RBI double, and Volpe followed that with an RBI double of his own, and the Yankees end up leading at 5-2. It finished 5-3. Camilo Doval gets his 16th save of the year, goes an inning in this one, no hits with no runs, or 1 run, no earned with no walks and 1 K. So good stuff from him, and the Yankee rotation continues to roll as they win another game against the Chicago White Sox. Then you go into Sunday's finale. They end up dropping that one. The 7-game win streak is over, and Tim Hill allowed a late home run to Lennon Sosa in this one. 3-2 White Sox. They win it. The Yankee offense didn't look great in this game. Only 6 hits on the day, 2 runs. Judge was one of them with a solo bomb. Bellinger was another with an RBI double in the 3rd. The Yankees end up giving that game away, but it really, in the end, the Yankees have completely come back in this division race after Toronto has continued to struggle. They have lost 3 of their last 4, and all of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, the Yankees just trail Toronto by 2.5 games. In the American League East, they're tied with Boston right now, and Boston continues to win and then lose and then win and then lose. So they are kind of inconsistent right now, but the Yankees end up sitting right there with Boston, who has won their last 2 games, and they have won 7 of their last 10. So have the Yankees. So they continue to fight for that race in the American League East. It's going to come down to that series at Fenway. For this Yankees team, it really comes down to how well they can play in that series at Fenway. We still have to wait a couple weeks for that one, but it really comes down to how well they can play against the Red Sox. That head-to-head is going to be huge, but they got some really tough series before then when it goes to Houston, Toronto, and Detroit. It all starts with the Houston Astros in Houston, where the Yankees have had nightmares time and time again. It's going to be the Yankees with Max Fried on the mound. What a pitching matchup we have on Tuesday evening. 8:10 start. Max Fried against Framber Valdez. And Valdez has been solid this year with a 12-7 record, 3.18 ERA. A little bit shaky recently as it's gotten here. A couple of shaky starts in the end. But Max Fried has done the same. Looked really good the last 2 times out against Washington the last time out, and then Boston the time before that, where the Yankees just could not give him any run support. It comes down to, can the Yankees beat the Astros with their ace on the mound? It's obviously a tough pitching matchup against Valdez, but if the Yankees can take 2 out of 3 in Houston, you're ecstatic as a Yankee fan. Probably not going to end up that way with how it's really looked so far this season. Yankees 7-19 against the top teams in the American League. When you look at those teams next to them, Houston, Toronto, Detroit, Boston, 7-19 is just not good enough. And the Yankees know that. They have to respond in this series against Houston. It all starts an 8-10 start tonight with Fried against Valdez. Like I said, what a pitching matchup we have on our hands. It should be a great one. Make sure you tune in all series long. The Yankees taking on the Astros down at Daikin Park in Houston. But that will do it for episode 105 of the MudWatch Sports Podcast. Please subscribe below. I've been Zach Malum, and thanks for watching, and talk to you all on Thursday.